Hello everybody, Niklsun here, and welcome back to Coming Soon Movie News with Mikkelsen. I'm your host, and this is a show where we'll be covering all of the day's movie news, including trailer breakdowns, casting decisions, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's Hot Topics. First off, I gotta say, it feels really good to be back. I had a lot of things that were preventing me from being able to do episodes, so I really do apologize. I was not able to keep them going at the regular rate. I know it's been about a month since I've had one, but hoping to rectify that starting with today. I've actually got a new laptop coming in, which means even when I'm not available to be in the studio, I can at least do partial episodes or at least talk about stories, which is going to be a new segment that I'm going to be calling the Drive-In Experience, or I'm going to be retooling it. It's going to be the Drive-In something. Where I'm going to be doing episodes out of my car, just because my living conditions and where my studio is are so far away from everything else that I do. I just don't have the time to be able to come back here and record an episode and wait for it to be edited and uploaded. So I got a laptop coming that'll be able to handle all that stuff, so I can do that when I'm on the go. I'm going to be putting up a lot more content. Laptop should be getting here in about a week. So starting next week or the week after, I'll be doing a lot more episodes, and I'm going to announce that very soon, exactly when that will start. But without any further ado, let's get caught up on a couple of things. So first off, Star Wars, okay? I know, like, seeing everything behind me, Star Wars, I love Star Wars. It's one of the best series that's out there by far, just in terms of its richness and characters and excitement level and just what it did for me as a kid. But more importantly than that, I want to talk to you about Episode 7, because what they did about a week ago, might have been less than a week, when they released the Instagram teaser, the 15-second teaser, which only included 2 clips. And there were a couple of surprising things about this. One, it reaffirmed to me that Lucasfilm knows exactly what they're doing in regards to the marketing of this film, how they're planning on marketing it, and what they're doing, because normally, if you ever got we always complain when a new trailer comes out and they're like, it was kind of the same footage, just reshuffled, or they didn't really show any new footage. Star Wars is a different game altogether, because fans are, I think, stuck in between a rock and a hard place. They want to see as much as they can, but they don't want to be spoiled. And I've seen a lot of people getting upset about the fact that the 15-second teaser only included 2 shots. But when you break it down, let's think about what these 2 shots have done. Okay, so it's 4 shots in total. Only 2 new shots, and I know this is getting extra nerdy here, but just bear with me. So in the first new shot that we get, we have Rey turning and looking up into what's either something in the sky or something above the planet, with BB-8 behind her, and we're on some sort of forest planet, or at least some sort of planet with a jungle atmosphere or anything of that sort. Kind of like Endor, very similar to Endor. And we just see her looking up in terror at what's above in the sky. And what could that be? Could that be the new Doomsday weapon that we had rumored or hinted at, I think it was over a year ago, when they were talking about how there's going to be a new, like, Death Star type thing. It's not going to be like a space station or anything, but it's going to be a new super weapon or ultra weapon or something like that. And is she now looking up and experiencing this for the first time, seeing it blow something up, whether it's a fleet of ships in the atmosphere or above the planet, we still don't know, but we can derive a lot of potential story elements from just this one shot. But on top of that, we get the biggest money shot out of all the trailers that we've got, I think, so far, with the exception of the Millennium Falcon flying around and all that kind of stuff. That was one of the coolest shots. But this one shows us Finn, John Boyega's character, wielding a lightsaber. Now, we already got that at the Comic-Con, the Comic-Con poster, or the D20, was it the Comic-Con or D23? I think it was the D23 poster. It might have been the Comic-Con one, I can't remember. But we saw him wielding a lightsaber, and we didn't really know, okay, is this just for promotional material? Is he actually going to be Force sensitive? But not only do we now have a confirmation that he is going to be wielding the lightsaber in the film, more importantly, he's who Kylo Ren ignites his lightsaber against in the first teaser trailer. So it not only assumes that this is going to be at least, I don't think this is going to be the end of the film. I think this is going to be the midpoint, or maybe just a little bit past the midpoint. This is their first interaction, their first altercation, at least my opinion. But the way that it comes across, Finn looks really confident. And that to me shows that he, unless it was just the way that he was directed in the scene, but it shows that he has had a little bit of training. He's gone through a little bit of the motions, whether or not he's already met up with Luke Skywalker and has begun his training, whether or not he had training to begin with, before he was a stormtrooper, because we know he was a stormtrooper who's now no longer that. He was either a spy as a stormtrooper, or he was a stormtrooper that became a spy. There's still so much up in the air, and that's one of the things that I really love, because a lot of people are really looking forward to this next film. But if we knew everything going into it, it wouldn't be the same experience. They're trying to keep this not only just what we're going to see in the theater. They're trying to bring back the experience of seeing Star Wars back in 1977, the way that he saw it. You go in, you just had a trailer or two, didn't really know what was going to happen, didn't really know what the movie was going to be about. And then you were blown away by what you saw, by how everything worked together, the special effects of the time, the storytelling techniques that they used, everything about it. And I think that's what they're trying to do now with the marketing of this film, is they are trying to bring everybody back to a pre-digital age, an age before the internet had spoilers for everything. Now, not everything out there is a spoiler. People have been saying, "Oh, he's got a lightsaber. That's a spoiler. I wanted to wait till the movie to see that." It's okay. Well, good luck with that. We live in 2015, so if something is put out there, you're not going to hide from it. You can't. It's going to go everywhere. But if they're able to control, because I think this is one of the rare instances where the director, along with the producing team, has complete control over the marketing of the film. It's not handed off to a marketing company to just create the trailers for it. I am very excited about how they're going about this, because they're doing it perfectly. Like I said, we got 2 new shots, but it's not about the amount of footage that we're getting, it's what's included in that footage. And look at what we're able to bring about from just these 2 new shots. I mean, we're able to determine at least 3 major action sequences in the film already, having only seen 2 teaser trailers with very little footage. We have the escape from the First Order base, which I believe is called the base Star Killer. I think that slipped out at Comic-Con. The next one is going to be the Millennium Falcon chase over Jakku, where Captain Phasma is chasing the Millennium Falcon over the planet Jakku. And then now the third one is going to be the snow lightsaber battle between Kylo Ren and Finn. Another thing that really excites me is we haven't had, from my understanding, we haven't had a lightsaber battle in the snow yet. We've seen a lightsaber in the snow on Hoth when Han Solo ignited it to open up the Tauntaun, but we haven't actually seen a lightsaber battle in a snow environment. And I know that's a small thing, but it's something new. We're not seeing a lightsaber battle on a ship again. You know, at least yet. I mean, that might happen at the end of the film, who knows? And I'd be more than happy to see it. But we haven't seen, outside of the fight in Return of the Jedi, outside of the fight in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin and Obi-Wan have their lightsaber battle on Mustafar, on the lava planet, or the lava planet. We haven't seen a battle like this in a different environment outside of a ship or outside of, Coruscant or anything of that sort. So it'd be really cool and interesting to see this. But now that we have these 3 major action sequences out of the way, or at least that we know that they're going to happen, we don't know in any way, shape, or form what order they're going to happen in. Although, if I was to be a betting man, I would say escape from the base, flight over Jakku, and then the lightsaber battle. I think that's the order that they're going to go in. We're going to have a lot more outside of this as well. There's going to be, if there's not a space battle in this, that's going to be such a waste. I mean, there's got to be a space battle. But even on top of all this, the biggest complaint has been the lack of trailers, the lack of marketing. And this is not a film that needs it. They don't need to have these trailers come out. And I'm sick and tired of seeing people, people right now are complaining about Captain America Civil War, and how we haven't seen any official footage from that movie or any official stills or anything like that. It's like, they just finished shooting. They're now at a position, they don't need to show that stuff yet. They don't have to. Look, we're already excited about it. We're already getting kind of antsy about the fact that we haven't seen anything from it yet. So the fact that people are getting mad, like I was reading articles, they're like, well, the film's less than a year away, so they better start that marketing push now. What? Do you want them to and then you're going to complain when they show you too much footage. Do you want them to have too much footage? Because a marketing campaign, you have to have a new trailer or a new something every couple of months. And Star Wars has been doing it perfectly because they haven't been relying on footage. They've been relying on magazine interviews with J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy and other people involved in the Star Wars movie outside of the cast. I mean, we're getting information about certain characters. We're getting information about the Knights of Ren, and what that could possibly mean. And that just opens the door to what it could possibly mean. Was it created by by Luke Skywalker? Was it created by somebody else and then turned, as it went on? Who was Snoke originally? Who was he working for? Where was he during the fall of the Empire? Like all these different questions. I want to have them answered when I'm watching the film. I don't want to have them answered in a trailer. I am more than excited to go and see the film. Now, it's getting to a point where we are going to need a new trailer because we just haven't seen enough footage. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I'm not saying we need to give away the farm. I'm saying we could even use just another teaser, give us a little bit of the story. That's all we need. We just need a little bit of the story. And I think we'll be good because we don't really know what the movie's about. We don't have a handle on what the film is about. We have rumors, we have speculation, and we can speculate till the end of time. But the next trailer that we're going to get, which I am adamant, you can almost take this to the bank. Okay, listen up. The new trailer is going to debut in front of The Martian on October 3rd. The trailer will be online probably a week or maybe 4 days before that. So it'll be the last week of September, maybe even the final Friday before September, because what that's going to do, they've got Force Friday coming up this Friday where they're going to be unveiling Star Wars Aftermath, which I cannot wait to get that book. The Journey to the Force Awakens opens the floodgates, and we're going to get so much new information. But I don't believe that they're going to drop a trailer then. I think that would it would overshroud what they're trying to do with everything else. If you release a trailer, everybody's going to sit at home, talk about that, and all that kind of stuff. So I think they're going to let that settle in for about 2 weeks because Force Friday is on the 4th. So I think they're going to let that settle in for about 2-3 weeks. So that brings us to the 19th. So yeah, I think we're probably going to get the trailer. Well, the new iPhone's probably going to be coming out on the 19th. So it'll be a week after that, unless they do that as a cross promotion. I don't know. I mean, it's all up in the air right now, but you can take it to the bank that it's going to be in theaters with The Martian on October 3rd. And then it's going to be online about a week before that. So I can't wait to see the trailer. When I saw this 15-second clip, and who knew that a 15-second clip could make me lose my mind the way that it did. But yeah, I mean, I am so excited for this film. I cannot wait to see how this jumpstarts a new Star Wars legacy, how it starts a new Star Wars franchise with a new trilogy, new characters, returning characters, and how they're going to factor in. I hope that Luke isn't only in the last 5 minutes and setting up for a bigger role in number 8. I really do hope that he's in a bit more of the film. But if that's the case, we're only going to have to wait another couple of months. I mean, we're 3 months out now, less than 4 months out. We're about three and 3/4 months. So we got some time. The movie's not going to be opening up until December 18th, so we got a lot of time. But I have a feeling within about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks from now, we're going to have a new trailer. So when we do, check back on Movie News with Mikkelsen, where we dissect that trailer and talk about all great things Star Wars. But until next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. The next topic we have to talk about today is the upcoming Will Smith drama Concussion. Now, this is a timely film if there ever was one. All right, so basically the logline is Will Smith plays Dr. Bennett Omalu, an accomplished forensic neuropathologist who was the first to discover the existence of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a disease of the brain found in athletes with a history of repetitive brain trauma. So it was basically the first one to discover that this isn't all just fun and games, that there's a severe health risk to this and death will occur if you continue doing this. And this movie looks to tackle a lot of different issues, namely the one that's in the title. I mean, dealing with concussions and brain injuries and CTE, the disease that now affects, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in the United States and around the world. So with this being just a teaser, though, it does hint on a lot of different plot points that the movie's going to be addressing. One of the biggest ones outside of this is looking at it from an outside perspective. The fact that Dr. Omalu, who was from, it wasn't Nairobi, where was he from? Nigeria. That a man from Nigeria, and it'll be like, this is what I wrote down. The main theme of the film will be about the perception of this claim coming from an immigrant from Nigeria and how the public, the American public, acknowledges, I'm going to restart this. The main theme of the film will be about the perception of this claim coming from an immigrant from Nigeria and how the public acknowledges the legitimacy of that claim. Now, whether or not they feel that, one of the quotes I read online was something along the lines of, who are you to judge us? Who are you to pass judgment on us and talk about this when you come from the 8th most criminally what's the term, corrupted country in the world. You know, I mean, that's a very valid point, but he's not a part of that. And I know that that kind of shouldn't excuse what he's trying to do, but he also came to it from a positive light. He thought that if he showed this to the NFL, that if he showed this to these people, that they would be relieved. They're like, oh my God, you know, thank you for letting us know before people get killed. And then they almost crucified him for this. Because as Albert Brooks says in the trailer, he's like, you're going up against a corporation that owns a day of the week. Like, that's, when you think about it in that context, that's massive. And going up against these guys, and there's a lot more elements to this film that are explored. Mind you, this is just a teaser. And I was a little confused at how many things they tried to touch upon, because they only are like, well, we're going to deal with this and 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 this concussion. You know, it was overload almost, but it also didn't take enough time with each point, at least in this trailer. And I hope the movie doesn't suffer from that, because this is something that I think really needs to be brought to the limelight. This is something that really needs to be made aware, because, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but there are a lot of stupid Americans out there. Look who's leading the polls for the American election, Donald Trump, all right? So there are a lot of people out there that don't believe that this is an actual problem. And they would rather just see a bunch of gladiators on a field go and smash their heads together for pure entertainment and think nothing of it, think that nothing negative is going to come from it. And that's not the case, because the more and more people that are affected by this means the more and more problems that will arise for your society later on. And in things involving healthcare and other things like that, especially in a company like America, which just recently adopted Obamacare, which is a kind of healthcare initiative. It's nothing like what we have up here in Canada. Like up here in Canada, we don't, like, our taxes cover all of our healthcare costs. You know, I mean, it's second nature. Something happens, you go to the hospital. Whereas in the States, you know, if you slice your hand open, you just go and you grab a needle and you grab some thread and you just try to sew it shut yourself, because you're going to pay a doctor a couple $100 to do the same damn thing. And so with this being brought to the front, and being supported by somebody like Will Smith in the lead role, and Ridley Scott in a producing effort, and Peter Landsman as the director, the guy who directed Kill the Messenger with Woody Harrelson, which was, not Woody Harrelson, or was that the Woody Harrelson movie? The one with him and Ben Foster. I think it was called Kill the Messenger, but I may be confusing it with another movie. But I think that's the one that I am thinking of. And on top of that, you have Alec Baldwin. You have, I'm gonna butcher his name, Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje, who was in, you know, he's in Suicide Squad. He was Mr. Echo on Lost. You know, he's very prominent. And you got Albert Brooks in the great role, who says that line. You know, I mean, you're going up against a corporation that owns a day of the week. Like, there are huge stakes at play here, and I'm very interested to see where this story's going to go. I just hope that they don't try to sugarcoat anything or try to gloss over anything, because this is something that really needs to be addressed and really needs to be brought to the front of our awareness in regards to this. I mean, obviously not more important than a lot of other things that are out there, but I don't know. It's all circumstantial when it comes down to that kind of stuff. But this is something that not enough people acknowledge is real. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at. They don't acknowledge that it's real. And they need to know that this is something that needs to be addressed, that they need to do something to try to fix this. Because outside of football, you have sports like boxing and MMA. You have any sport that involves high contact. They need to be made aware of these things. They can't just think that they can go, I'll get a couple of bruises or I'll get a broken bone, I'll just put a cast on it and fix it. No. These are going to have lifelong standing effects, and you need to do something to prevent these things. And I hope this movie is able to raise awareness so that people are not so callous when it comes to this kind of stuff and are demanding that the players be properly protected and that, you know, certain safeguards be put in place. Not saying to take away from the sport. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just talking about they need to understand if somebody hits somebody and it's at a certain velocity and they're, you know, they get kind of confused for a second, get them off the field. Do not keep them in that play. Get them off the field, let them cool down for a minute, let them sit there for about 5 minutes, just get their head straight, and then you can put them back if they're able to get their wits about them. But they keep playing these players and they keep getting worse and worse and worse. And so I hope this movie's just able to open up that awareness. It's scheduled to open up on Christmas Day, but probably expect a wider release sometime after that, because there's a lot of, I mean, we got Star Wars, we got The Revenant, which is going to be a limited release. We've got The Hateful Eight, which I think is opening wide on Christmas Day. There's several other films, Alvin and the Chipmunks 4, for some goddamn reason. But yeah, no, this is going to be one to definitely take a look at. And when the new trailers come out for this movie, when the posters come out, I'll definitely be making it apparent on the show, because this is something that needs to be pointed out. This is something that needs to be addressed. And I hope this movie, again, doesn't pussyfoot around and doesn't sugarcoat anything, because this stuff needs to be hit hard. Okay? Pun intended. All right? So yeah, the movie's opening up on December 25th. If we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. With Bourne 5 scheduled to start shooting, I believe, this week, Matt Damon was actually out doing press for The Martian, and he gave a couple of little tidbits about what's next in the world of Bourne. Like, why did they decide to come back? What kind of made them decide to work together again and do this new film? Because Matt Damon and Paul Greengrass both always said, Matt Damon said he would do another one as long as Greengrass came back to direct. Paul Greengrass said he never had really, he had done what he needed to do in that world. There wasn't really a thought or an idea that he had that he thought would work well in that world without sullying what they had done beforehand. So they decided, we're like, unless a really great idea comes up, we're not going to do another one. And so that's why they tried with the Bourne Legacy to try to do a spin-off movie, which I really enjoyed. You know, I watched it again. I enjoyed it as its own film. It had a few too many callbacks. Now, this is one thing. Before I get into the main story, this is one thing I wanted to address, because I recently rewatched like all the Bourne films again, and they always talked about how the movie, like the Bourne Legacy, was kind of like the Bourne Legacy was kind of a side quote, because it had a lot of portions from Bourne Ultimatum at the beginning of the film, and they were kind of going side by side. But that's nothing new from the rest of the movies, and I don't know why this hasn't been brought up, or maybe it has. I've just been oblivious to it. But the beginning of the ending of the Bourne Supremacy happens about halfway through the Bourne Ultimatum, when he calls Pamela Landy and he says, you should get some sleep, Pam. You look tired. And that's when she turns around. He's in New York City, and that happens like more than halfway through the Bourne Ultimatum. The whole ending action sequence in the Bourne Supremacy, when they have when he's in the taxi and he's going after Carl Urban's character, that is right after that sequence, after he gets away from the police. That's where the Bourne Ultimatum starts. And there's still like another 15 to 20 minutes left of the Bourne Supremacy. And it goes off and does these other things. But the Bourne Ultimatum story picks up right from there, because that's where these specific instances in that story that they're telling pick up from. Bourne Legacy just adopted the same type of principles. So with Bourne 5, or whatever they're going to call it, the Bourne retirement, the Bourne resignation, the Bourne whatever they're going to call it, whatever they do, there's going to be elements from the previous films, or at least elements from the past, that are going to be incorporated into the film. The way that these stories are told is linear in a sense. It's not necessarily non-linear, but it's also not linear, because it jumps around. It goes all over the place. But getting back to Bourne 5, one of the interesting things that Matt Damon said in an interview was, he stated that the past 3 films were kind of more along the lines of being about the George W. Bush presidency and how the world worked within that type of government, or how it worked within that type of hierarchy. And that's how he felt that the previous 3 films were. And now with the new Bourne film, it's going to be in a post-Edward Snowden world, which means a post keeping sensitive information at bay world. A post people want the answers to the questions that they're asking world, and they want to ask their government the legal right that they have. And the government now apparently has always had the ability to say, we're not going to give out that information because we've deemed it national security, for reasons of national security. And that to me is an absolute bullshit claim, because they could come out and say, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton have both been shown on North Korean grounds shaking hands of Kim Jong-un. But because that's a danger to national security, because they're running for president, they're not going to reveal that information. I'm not saying that happened. I'm using it as an example. But I mean, with this kind of hierarchy, with this kind of government control now, with the public being so aware that the government is hiding information, more so than ever before. This is a really interesting angle to approach a new Bourne film, because he's always had like a moral compass that the audience follows along with, regardless of who else he's dealing with in the film. And so with people coming on board like Tommy Lee Jones, who I'm assuming is going to be the new government liaison who's trying to go after him. You know, we have Alicia Vikander. Like, she's everywhere. And I love this actress. She is beautiful. She is incredibly talented. I mean, if you have not seen Ex Machina or even Man from U.N.C.L.E., I didn't care for Man from U.N.C.L.E. all that much, but she was really good in it. You know, and she's got, what's this new movie that she's got coming out? The Danish Girl. She's in The Danish Girl, which the trailer's probably going to be dropping in the next couple of days for that. But that's the new Eddie Redmayne movie from Tom Hooper, the guy who directed Les Miserables. And Eddie Redmayne is playing a transgendered man who became a woman. And Alicia Vikander is the co-star of that film. But, like, she's just popping up everywhere. She turned down... Pretty sure she turned down Assassin's Creed. I'd have to look that up. I can't remember. I think she did turn that one down. But she was just being offered roles left, right, and center. Like, they were just coming at her. And there's a good reason. She's incredible. Like, she has a natural talent. When you look at her, you know that it doesn't look like she's trying to play a character. It looks like she's just being somebody else. And it's just natural for her. And that's one of the most captivating things about watching somebody like this. So seeing her involved in this film, along with Tommy Lee Jones, having Julia Stiles coming back, with Matt Damon obviously coming back in the lead role, Paul Greengrass directing it, they're working on the script together. You know, I mean, this could shape up to be a really incredible film. It could also be... I hope that what they do is they expand the scope of this world. Because the main critique I ever had about Bourne Legacy was it felt like they shrunk the world down. Because they made it more about all these different factions of government covert operations and all this kind of stuff. And it was just another Bourne chasing him and a Bourne 2.0 chasing him. And then he takes that guy out. And then a Bourne 3.0 chasing him and he takes that guy out. And it's, you know, it felt small. It felt condensed. And I hope that this movie doesn't do that, because they said that they're starting in Greece, where diplomacy started, and they're going to end in Las Vegas, which is basically, you know, a release of everything. Everything that we know is pure is released in Vegas. Or I can't remember the quote exactly. But this movie hopefully will, I don't want to say reinvent, but what I'm hoping from it is that the Bourne series has always been a unique case, because they've had different viewpoints on how to handle certain things, whether it's an action film or whether it's a political thriller, or is it a combination of the two. And this one sounds like, unless we get more information from it, it almost sounds like they're getting more to the political espionage movie than the action film. Which, if that's the case, that's fine. Just make sure you advertise it that way. Do not advertise it as an action film if it's not going to have a lot of action. If it's more like the Bourne Ultimatum, which had a lot more action, I felt, than Supremacy, but it felt more politically charged than the previous film. It felt more like a political thriller than an action film, but it still had plenty of action. If they can keep that up and go on with the next one, with Tommy Lee Jones leading the charge, going after Matt Damon, presumably, then this film has a chance of really winning over. So filming is expected to begin this week, unless they've already started, which is really great, because we're probably going to be getting some on-set photos. Whether or not they reveal anything is still up for debate. I mean, we didn't really see a lot of on-set photos for a lot of other films, and the ones that we did were like, okay, you know, great, awesome, yay. So, but the fact that it is happening, that Matt Damon is coming back, and that if this movie is successful, it could lead to a Jeremy Renner, Matt Damon team-up film, or a versus film, which I think it's all the rave in Hollywood right now, is getting two things to smash against one another. So I think if the new Bourne movie is a success, we're going to see Aaron Cross versus Jason Bourne in a really cool team-up movie. But that's still further down the line. Hopefully it was still with Justin Lin directing, because he was attached previously. But as it says right now, the movie is set to begin filming this week, and it's going to be opening up on July 29th of 2016. When we do get more information about this topic, I will definitely update you guys on here. And our final topic today that we're going to be covering is Mads Mikkelsen. Not only is was he confirmed to be cast in the upcoming Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It's no longer an anthology film. It's a Star Wars story, which he also did come out and confirm that he is not playing a villain. Now, I don't believe that he came out and said that he is playing a good guy, which means he could be playing somebody in the middle. And it's supposedly a movie about bounty hunters. But he now, according to Variety, is also in line to play either the lead villain or a main villain in Marvel's Doctor Strange. Now, there's no other information about that. He's not accepted the role. We don't know what role it was, but there's a lot of speculation. And the two main pieces of speculation going out there are, one, he's going to play Dormammu, and the other one, he's going to play Nightmare. Now, out of the two, I don't think that if they use Nightmare, they're going to make him an actual character. I think they're going to make him basically kind of like Doomsday in the Superman lore. He is just going to be a weapon. He's just going to be a force. I think that's what they're going to do, because Nightmare is very difficult to do on screen. Dormammu is difficult to do on screen, but at least you can have him be a physical presence. Even though he's essentially a being of pure energy, he can still become, you can still kind of create a physical construct out of him. Nightmare, on the other hand, I don't believe that you can. So having somebody with Mads Mikkelsen's talent, I think, would almost be wasted on somebody like Nightmare. If you got somebody like, I'm forgetting his name. He played Percy in the Green Mile. He was the brother of Jigsaw in the Punisher Warzone. He was the villain in Bait, a little scene movie with Jamie Foxx. Jamie Kennedy was in it as well, but Jamie Foxx was the lead guy. I am drawing a blank on his name, and it's not Josh Hutchison. John Hutchison. I've almost got it. Something Hutchison. I know it. It's something Hutchison. Just Google search Hutchison, and you'll see him there. It'll come to me in a minute. But I think he would be a really great Nightmare, because he's manic. He's incredibly insane. And if they were to try to bring about a character out of Nightmare, he could do it, because there's not going to be a lot of depth. Dormammu, on the other hand, can have a lot of depth, can have a lot of different layers, because he is not only a being of almost infinite patience, but he is also a being of almost infinite intelligence. Like, he is both sides of the spectrum. He has been called like more terrifying than a demon. You know, he is an energy construct from another dimension. I believe they call it the dark dimension. And basically, that's where he draws his power from. He draws his power from this entire universe, this entire dimension that he is now enslaved. And he draws his power from them. But he is also able to draw power from other realms when he is in these other realms. So he just isn't able to draw as much. So he is most powerful when he's in his own realm, but he can still draw on that power from other places. He's just not going to be as powerful. But the mechanisms about this character just, to me, scream Mads Mikkelsen. I don't see another character in terms of a villain that he could play, because Baron Mordo is already cast. We got Chiwetel Ejiofor playing that character. That would have been another one that I think Mads Mikkelsen could have played really well. But it would have been iffy on the casting, but I still think he would have been able to do it. But Dormammu, out of all of them, I mean, he's an interdimensional entity. He's got a flaming head, for Christ's sake. I mean, his head it's a skull that's on fire. He's almost like Ghost Rider in a sense, but he's a lot bigger. He's a lot more menacing, and he's an interdimensional being of magic, essentially. Like, it's very hard to describe this guy. And so having him as a main villain would be incredible. That would be a visual treat for the eyes. I mean, we already know that Doctor Strange is going to be a wholly unique film, something we've never seen before, especially from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if anything that they showed at D23, which I was not there, obviously, but if what was described as to what they showed at D23 is any idea of what we're going to get, this movie is going to be incredible. It's going to be like Inception on acid. But if they're to do another type of Inception type movie like this and dealing with this, don't do one little scene where you have buildings coming over on top and then never come back to that ever again, because that was really cool construct, and then they completely abandoned it in that movie. And that was one thing that I really hated about that. I was just really upset that they never returned to that. But looking at what they're able to do, whether or not this ends up becoming true, what they're able to do nowadays with special effects and what they could create in terms of an end game result. Like, Dormammu is the type of character I could see being used similar to Loki in a sense, where he could be used over several films. He could also be, a foil for Infinity War Part 1 if they really wanted to, or even Doctor Strange 2 whenever they get around to that. But, I mean, he could be brought in as a foil for these, Avengers to work against or to fight against, because he is so powerful. I mean, he is able to, at any given time, he is the most powerful being in the universe. I mean, he could almost probably go up head-to-head against Thanos and win. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a comic line. Let me know in the comment section below if this has ever happened, if they've ever done a Dormammu versus Thanos, or Dormammu with Thanos going up against something. Like, that would be the end game. That would be the end all be all. There's nothing that could fight that. Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing that could fight that at all. And if Marvel is aware of that and using this as not just a one-off character, because I'm getting really sick and tired of them doing this, they will bring about the most known villain and they will completely destroy him. The only villains that we've had done well so far, and we've only seen snippets of one of them, was Thanos and Loki. Those are the only two that they've done right. I mean, Ultron could have been used in another film. They could have kept that program around. James Spader did a great job with him, but the way that the role was written, it didn't work well. They needed a longer film, or they needed Avengers and Age of Ultron to be 2 films. But then you look at Malekith, you look at the Ironmonger, you look at Abomination, who they can still bring back. I don't know why they haven't. What's another good one? You look at Red Skull, like Red Skull out of all of them, and I hope that he comes back. There's so many one-off villains. They've had a problem with that, and it's already been addressed online. You can go and read plenty of articles about that. But looking at a character like Dormammu, he has so much potential to be a main villain for the Avengers. Like, he could be a replacement for Thanos. And if they use him in this film and then he's a one and done, I hope that that's not the case. I really do, because he could be used so well and in so many different instances, because he's a multi-dimensional character. Not just, he's not just a mustache-twirling villain. I mean, he literally exists within multiple dimensions, and he can hop between them, which is something we know we're getting from Doctor Strange. And I think the end of Ant-Man really kind of hinted at one of those dimensions that we can go into, which is called the microverse. So there's so many different possibilities and ways about this. We still don't know exactly which way's up, but with Mads Mikkelsen and somebody like his talent going up against, or playing somebody along the lines of Dormammu, oh my God, that's going to be absolutely incredible. The layers that he'll bring to that, the multi-dimensional role that is, he'll bring a lot to that. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think that Mads Mikkelsen is a great choice? Do you think he should play Dormammu? Who do you think would be a great choice for that? Or what character in general do you think he should play in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Let me know in the comment section below. And if we do get more information about this topic, then I will definitely update you guys on here. That'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been a great audience. Go ahead and click that subscribe button there in the bottom corner. You can get updates whenever a new video is posted. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Nikkelsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates. And if you ever have a topic or a question you'd like to address on the show, you can go ahead and send an email my way to movienewswithnickelson@gmail.com. We'll try to get to as many as we can. I know I've got a lot that have been sent over the last couple of months that I've been collecting, and so I'm going to do a whole episode that's just going to be based on that. And last but not least, don't forget to check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/movienewswithnickelson. You guys can start any conversations or topics on there, and also comment on anything that I've posted. I love fan interaction. I love talking to you guys. So put any comments on there that you like, and hit me up on the email. Ask any questions you guys want to have answered. So without any further ado, I'm Nikkelsun, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.